and out of the recovery process, but now he's back on track and he's doing this thing. And I'll, Chad, come up and share your story. It's been amazing watching you on this process.
How y'all doing, Chad, man? I'm gonna share my experience, strength, and hope. And what I share is strictly my opinions, not the opinions of NA or this facility. So now that I got that out the way, I started out, my first time drinking, I was 12. I remember my grandfather used to drink. I drank the beer and it made me, I threw up. And then my parents, my dad and my dad's family used to have get-togethers and they'd drink and we'd make the liquor foam and I'd slash them on the side and I started drinking it. And it gave me an escape route, you know, from the things I was feeling. You know, I had been molested by two of my uncles. I had been abused by my dad's girlfriend. Neglected, a lot of things that most of us go through. And so when I found that drinking, you know, it gave me an escape. And got a little older, I tried weed. Then in 1990, the movie New Jack City came out and I wanted to be Nino Brown. So, and I wound up being more like G Money.
Right, welcome.
So, not Pookie as much, but G Money. But it still was bad. So, I started selling drugs, man, and then the next thing you know, I was smoking it and going in and out of jail. I had 40 arrests, 3 times in the penitentiary, homeless about 3 times. Did all kind of stuff with drugs, you know, wanting more drugs. The last time I went to prison, I went to work release and I met my wife. She worked in work release and we would just be talking about life and God and we just hit it off. And I wound up going back to prison for sneaking out of the work release and we got married in November 19th of 2010 while I was in prison and I got out a month later. So fast forward, I had a couple of periods of recovery when I was in drug court like 20 years ago. It wasn't that hard not to use when I had a 10-year sentence over my head. So I didn't realize the importance of applying the program to my life. So whenever that urge hit me, man, I didn't have no defense. I just gave in.
Come on.
So for the last 6 years, right on the 25th of this month, it'll be 18 months.
Awesome.
With nothing at all, right?
Awesome.
But for the 6 years prior to that, man, I was going to meetings, man, in Lake Charles where I was living at, and I would want to get clean so bad. I remember praying and just asking my God to remove it, you know. And I had to go through what I had to go through, and one day I had a click. My dad got clean 26 years ago. He said for him it was a click that happened, and I've heard other people say that. So the last couple of times I used, man, I remember looking at my wife while she was sleeping because she doesn't do nothing and thinking, how would she feel if I died in my sleep? And then I had a fear of dying high, and that was something else that was too intense for me to continue to want to feel, right? And I wanted to say something right before that. But anyway, so all those thoughts became too unbearable, man. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. So watch, rewind a little bit. So I started to not do a lot of the things I used to do to get high. Like 10 years ago, I would pawn the car out, steal from my wife. And about 8 years ago or 9 years ago, those things became too painful to continue to do. So I stopped doing those things. And I remember the last time I grabbed the money and woke my wife up and told her crying, please take your money. If not, I'm going to buy some drugs with this money. And I've never stole from her since then. The downside to that was the disease of addiction had me thinking I had some kind of control over using because I wouldn't steal anymore. I wouldn't rent out the cars. I wouldn't selling my music. I wouldn't, the bills were paid. So I thought I had some kind of control, man. So, and I was using like every 2 to 5 days. I would use and the drugs and the alcohol together till I would pass out, go to sleep, and the next day I didn't want it no more. So I thought because I didn't want it no more, that was me. So it had me fooled. And I remember a lady, she died. She told me, she said, the disease will really want you to think you got control so it can kill you. See, the ultimate thing for me, my disease want to kill me, right? It says it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And if you look them words up, that's some real deep words. So now we're going to fast forward to recovery. I got the thoughts about my dying high, and it became too unbearable. So I knew where the solution was because I've been around the room since 1992, different programs. So I came back to NA. They say be open, honest, open-minded, and willingness. They say them three things are indispensable. That word indispensable means you can't do without that, right? So I was a little open-minded. See, that's the thing about this process. I could be just a little, at least I got some kind of hope, right? I'm a little open-minded. I'm a little willing. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little honest. And through the recovery process, those things broaden. I get more open-minded, more willing, more honest. My surrender deepens. And I remember working with Larry, man. And I remember I didn't like Larry's approach because I wasn't ready for it. And I was disciplining the grandbaby this morning, right? And I talked to her kind of rude. And I said, you know what? I talked to her like that because I love her and I'm trying to get her attention. And Larry popped in my mind. And I said, I got to share this. So a lot of times, Larry just shared this, that some will come to us in a way where it don't feel good, but it's what we need. And it's exactly what I needed. It was like 3 people that pissed me off just enough 18 months ago to make me push that much harder. I mean, I'm in the gym. I'm going to show them. He's telling me I know how to look like us and sound like us, but I don't know how to be one of us. I'm working out. He just made me push harder, man. And I read more. I mean, I was in that book. She'll tell you, man. One of my sponsors said, man, you trying to be a guru? And I'm like, man, whatever happens, happens, man. So I said that to say, man, the program tells me I got a gift of desperation. And that was a gift that I didn't give myself. So I can't take credit for that gift. But because of the gift of recovery, because of the gift of desperation, it got to fire me so hard to where I'm not going back. Like, I know that I'm done. Like, the literature tells me we have never seen a person relapse who lives the program. See, I got to live this thing. I could come in there and talk I can quote whatever you want me to quote. But, man, if I'm not applying this in my life, man, I'm just spinning my wheels. And another thing I learned through this process is I could pray for a whole lot of stuff. And I love praying, right? I could pray for patience, tolerance, kindness. But watch this. If I'm not practicing them, I have to be intentional with this process. I have to intentionally practice patience, intentionally practice love, intentionally practice forgiveness. Man, I got to do this on purpose. The word intentional means done on purpose, deliberate. I got to be deliberate with this process. And just like with anything else, I'm going to only get out of it what I put into it. Thank y'all for letting me speak. Woo!
Man, damn. Woo! I love fire shit. Oh, I love it.